Welcome to the BullCast podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the BullCast podcast. I'm Katie Pickler, and I am back. With me today is Cort Winsett. And so, yes, I'm back. Cam's on vacay. Feels good to be back.
Yeah, welcome back. It's been 2 months that you've been gone. It seems like just yesterday, frankly, but I'm glad to have you back.
Glad to be back. Obviously, I'm still going to be a little bit staggered because the little buggers still need me a little bit more. Excited to be back on an episode. Got some great other guests coming up for some other future episodes, and then I will be back full time.
Sometime.
In the future.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But you can't get rid of me.
Yeah. I was getting used to saying hello. And then
I'm so glad you were keeping it up because I asked the guys before I left, I said, well, who's going to keep up my hello? And like, we're just not going to do it. And I said, what do you mean you can't not do it? Like, that's not allowed.
Not do it. Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
The value of presence.
Presents? I like presents.
Yeah. Presence.
Oh, not the things wrapped with bows on them.
Right. Making choices, financial and otherwise, that protect what matters most. Life changes, obviously you've been going through some changes. Obviously when your life changes, a lot of times your priorities do too. Sometimes you are going to value things even more than you used to. And sometimes you're going to, overall, everything changes.
Yeah.
Your mindset changes. As you put it just a little while ago, your bandwidth changes.
Your bandwidth changes. Look, guys, I am a different person, obviously, from even the day I went to the hospital to have these babies than, hours later. And who I thought I was going to be after they were here, it's very different. It does change your priorities. And I think childbirth, bringing kids into the world is a huge perspective change. Mm-hmm. But it's also, job changes, marriage, losing somebody, any of that stuff. You really get a change on your time and your energy and your perspective. We've heard for forever of somebody had a close loved one pass away too young. And then or even if they weren't young, just they really then feel an emphasis on living in the moment and being with people. A lot of times we are moving so fast. We're moving 90 miles per hour that it takes something to stop us in our tracks and reevaluate and say, hey, I don't have time to do that anymore. I don't want to put my energy into that anymore. And it's kind of, all the different things out there of what fills your bucket, what drains your bucket, like all of that stuff. But yes, my perspective on things have changed, and I value sleep a lot more when I can get it.
Yeah. How many hours would you say you got last night?
Last night was rough. The twins, because remember, guys, I have twins. They were on a fine schedule. They were
each of them individually,
but it caused me to be up every 2 hours because they were on opposite schedules.
The idea behind this little podcast episode topic is, your life is in extraordinary chaos right now.
It's in chaos.
Although you have been putting in the effort to try and maintain a schedule as much as you possibly can.
This was the first time that I've had a night where the schedule has really been messed up. And this is now proof where I'm like, this is why I keep a schedule. This is why I do it. So I'm being a little bit of a drill sergeant with that. But yeah, it's, the value of presence, just as we've talked about with your budget, with things like that, you have to every so often nurture it, readjust it, look at it. That's the same thing as you have to have that reality of when life changes, good, bad, indifferent. You then have that second where you kind of reevaluate. And so there's going to be people that it shifts, and it could be you dealing with it. It could be somebody else. So for example, if you're so used to that coworker always willing to pick up slack and do the bus duty or to stay late for that appointment, if they hit a turning point in their life where they're like, you know what, I don't want to do that anymore. I need to value my time a little bit differently. That can then impact you. So people valuing what they're doing and being present in what they're wanting to do can impact you if it's you going through it or if it's somebody else going through it.
I mentioned chaos. We are going to do a list.
Okay.
The list is going to be the top 5 TV movie moments that perfectly capture parenting chaos.
Oh, I love the number one.
Okay, well, then you can have it.
3 Men and a Baby. I absolutely adore this movie. I watched this 2 days before the boys got here.
Steve Guttenberg. And Ted Danson.
Yep. I was going to say, they are fantastic. They have a baby literally dropped on their doorstep, and it's all about them trying to get a diaper changed. The baby powder goes flying everywhere. It's just 3 bachelors who do not know what they're doing. Thankfully, I will say, being a boy mom now, thankfully it was a girl, because if you do not do the diapers correctly with the boy, you're getting peed on.
I had a boy. I'm sure I changed his diaper. I don't recall getting peed on. I'm sure it happened. I don't know that your boys can really get some distance going. Okay, so next on the list is Kevin, Home Alone. The Kevin moment. I'm not going to do it. I can't do it justice. The moment in the rush to the flight where the McAllister family is in the airport and or on the airplane.
Yeah, they're sitting down. Everybody's getting their seats, and then she just realizes, "Oh my God, where's Kevin?"
Yeah, and she goes, "Kevin," and realizes that they've left Kevin behind.
And he just woke up and was like, "Where'd everybody go?"
The chaos that moment depicts is sort of that idea that you've got this massive family that's all going on a trip together, and all of the people that are moving around in the morning, and everybody that's getting ready to go, and they've got to get to the airport, and they're all in a rush, and oh no, they forgot a child. So
okay, Marshall's meltdown in How I Met Your Mother. This is new dad Marshall takes a solo flight with baby Marvin. What follows is a traumatic sequence of diaper changes, tidy bathrooms, screaming fits, spilled snacks, his desperate plea to fellow passengers for grace. I need to go back and watch this episode because I'm sure it's going to hit different now that I'm a parent.
Yeah. One of the things that I have frequently said to people that are new parents, parents of especially newborns and little tiny babies that have a tendency to scream and cry, and they look at me and say, "I'm so sorry. I'm like, it doesn't bother me at all. If it's not my child that's doing the crying, then I feel bad for you, but it's not going to disturb me." Now, I know some people get annoyed by screaming babies, and I'm not going to say that it's a blanket statement that it's always people that have never had children, but I think a lot of the people that tend to get annoyed at people with kids is people who look at you and look at your kid screaming in the middle of a restaurant and throwing a fit, and they go, "I'm not going to do that when I have kids."
Yeah.
And, then they end up realizing what chaos it actually is brought by a child.
Lots of shame. Yep.
Okay, this is actually a great one for me. My favorite Pixar movie, and the scene is Jack Jack's Fireball. The movie is The Incredibles. Jack is just this normal baby, right? And he hasn't shown that he has any superpowers. For those of you that don't know, The Incredibles is about a family that they all have superpowers, and Jack is the youngest baby. One of my pugs is actually, we call him Jack because I love the name. The funny bit is at the end when they show the babysitter that is dealing with Jack and all of the stuff that she's going through with Jack. Like basically he's developing his powers as she's watching him and going through. Like I think he disappears, he teleports, he bursts into flames, and then
not what they're probably not paying that babysitter enough to deal with all that.
The ultimate victory of the Incredibles over the bad guy of that movie actually involves Jack and his powers, so he kind of ends up being somewhat of a hero of the film. The whole thing is just hilarious.
Well, and The Incredibles Edna Mode is still the best.
Yeah,
she's my favorite. Okay, the last one on the list is Bridget's surprise. This is Bridget Jones' baby from the Bridget Jones Diaries. So she is unexpectedly pregnant, unsure who the father is. Uh-oh. Is it her ex or is it her new love interest? Cue awkward ultrasounds, mismatched Lamaze classes, wild mood swings, and a final scene where the two potential baby daddies race to the hospital, getting stuck in revolving doors and traffic along the way. What a mess.
I think I watched Bridget Jones' Baby, but I don't really remember it.
I remember Bridget Jones' Diary, Bridget Jones. I don't remember the baby one. I'll have to go check it out.
Well, as Bridget Jones once said, sometimes the most carefully made plans get shoved in a diaper bag and left at home.
Nice.
Or as Mike Tyson said, what is it that Mike Tyson said? Everybody has a fight plan until they get punched in the face or something along those lines. Everybody has a battle plan until the battle actually starts and everything. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. The whole thing like that. Yeah. The first outing with the boys, I had carefully got everything together. This was the first outing. It was going to be outside for a couple hours. So really had to figure out what do I need to be outdoors. Mm-hmm. Had everything packed in the car, had them dressed, had me dressed, had the diaper bag ready, got everything else in the car. And thankfully my mom had come over to help me get all this stuff together. This was my first time driving with them by myself. She calls me and I had been 3 minutes away and she goes, the diaper bag's sitting on the table. Like, skirt.
Yep.
Go back. And this was something I had to be there at a specific time. I have found that is the hardest thing is I can get somewhere, but don't expect me at a certain time because it's too hard.
I remember just the trauma of having to get one baby in a car. I can't imagine what it is like to have to get two and to gather up enough of the stuff that you have to carry for one, but twice as much and so forth. So it's got to be fun.
The bad joke that everyone said is like, oh, how's it going with twins? I'm like, it's great. The hardest part is there's another baby. On the outline, it says Katie's life update. So what does life look like now? It's different.
Crazy.
crazy. 2 little tiny humans that I'm taking care of. And so my schedule revolves around them. The moms and the dads will appreciate in the room. It's, my life is in 2-3 hour increments of, feeding, diaper changes, pumping, all of that stuff. And so I live, was it Fast and the Furious or 60 seconds where they're like, I live my life, 60 seconds stretch or something like that.
Is it the Gone in 60 Seconds? Is that what you're referring to?
Y'all see, this is where my brain is screwed up.
Well,
But there's some movie that's like, I live my life by like the
60-second increment.
Yeah. So then this is, I'm living my life on the, 2 hour, 3 hour increments here. Yeah. But I am also trying to still then have some semblance of what's going on at the office, what's going on with my client. It's hard. I went from, I would say I'm a workaholic, then going from the shift of it's taking care of babies that cannot. I live my life a quarter mile at a time. That's what it is from Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Thank you. I knew Dom said it. Okay. So I'm, I'll sound like real badass now and start saying that instead of like, I'm sleep deprived. I have spit up on me and all of that.
You can just, when people ask you how it's going with the babies, you can just say, I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
But I would say because I'm going through this transition, my supports is the most important thing. And I've got wonderful support around me. My husband, my family, my work family, my friends, all of them are showing up. And, with this, I am still keeping up with what's going on at work. I'm still slowly kind of starting to answer emails, kind of check in. Actually brought the boys up here prior to the podcast, and they sat in a internal meeting that we had. And so just kind of adapting and making it work. And thankfully, everyone's got grace with me as I'm, running late to something or trying to figure it out. Or, hey, I said I could come up there today, but today's not a good day.
Yeah. Yeah. And that stuff happens. I mean, you just roll with it because sometimes your babies just are going to be fussy, and that may not be conducive to, for instance, being in an office environment or recording a podcast. If you got 2 fussy babies, all the listeners would hear is the baby's crying. But it's important to spend that time with them. That sort of brings us back around to the topic of today, which is
value of presence.
Yeah, the value of presence. So sometimes the best investment isn't in a portfolio. It's in how and where you show up, how and where you spend your time.
Presence as a resource. How becoming a mom made me more aware of how to spend of myself. And this is not just of money. That's true, because I have learned, especially with me trying to not only take care of them, but also I am trying to, pump, breastfeed. And so there's so many moving parts of I have to take care of me, because if I'm not taking care of me, I'm not able to provide for them in the form of producing milk. I'm not able to truly be there for them to comfort them, because babies can feed off of you. If you're stressed and tired and you're trying to rock them or comfort them, they can feel that.
Oh, yeah.
This truly is where we've talked about before of, put your life jacket on first and then help others. Put your oxygen mask on first, help others. This is a true moment of like, I have got to make sure I'm taking care of myself in order to take care of them. And that's where I've had very supportive, my husband and then my family and friends have really helped to try and take care of me or help take care of them to give me a break to then, in essence, take care of myself.
Yeah. One of the things that you do have to consider is budgeting your, not just your time, taking care of yourself, monitoring your energy.
Yeah.
Because energy it's just like any other resource. It's not never ending. It is a finite resource. So
4 days being home, I have this huge note that I wrote in my phone because I just was feeling all the emotions, and which is normal, but I was very much mourning the fact of I am a multitasker, and I was able to respond to emails, respond to people, keep up with it. And I was getting very overwhelmed. People wanting to congratulate, people wanting to offer help, the urge to feel like I needed to update social media, that I needed to be everything to my kids and to all these people that are expecting so much out of me, but then also myself. And it was overwhelming. And I had to pretty much break down and then regroup and say, I'm not that same person anymore. I had to figure out what could I control. Okay. All those congratulation text messages, all those phone calls, they can wait. Anybody who sent that is not expecting a response immediately.
Yeah.
All the thank you notes of people who are bringing you food, those can wait. When you have these situations like this, it's changing who's in your DNA. Because if you're used to, I want to get stuff checked off, I had to yesterday. Yesterday was the first day that I really went back to something that I religiously go by, and that's my list. I always have like a running notepad with things that I need to do. I would walk around the house over the past couple of weeks, and I'm like, oh, I really need to do this, need to do that. But then I'd go and change a diaper. I'd make a bottle, and I'd forget all about it. So yesterday, I got a notepad out, and as I thought of something, I'd immediately run over there and write it down. And it would even be simple things like need to restock the fridge with Diet Cokes. I need to, put the flags out. I need to do this. I need to, text this person back. But it made me feel a little bit more towards one step in getting back to who I want to be, because I was able to then cross stuff off. And I felt like not only was I taking care of the babies, they were taken care of, I was doing what I needed to do for them, but I was then also getting some other stuff done. When you have these things of trying to reevaluate your presence and things like that, it doesn't have to be an overnight. Money, time, energy are finite. Where are they going? What's giving return on investment? What's draining value? You
have to be in the moment, and you have to understand what it is that you're doing and how that is affecting your finite resources that you have. Is it draining you? Is it something that you can not do? You have to make your choices appropriately to make sure that you are budgeting what especially when you are already lacking in sleep, running around chasing after 2 children, or not necessarily chasing, because they,
not yet.
Thank goodness they're not walking yet, but, give you a little bit of time to adjust to just having 2, and then they'll start walking. But, you're spending all of your energy taking care of them and so forth, and your energy is already less than the level of energy that you're used to having. So you've just got to be mindful of the fact that you only have so much energy that you can use and that you can spend, if you will. It's like money. You only have so much that you can spend, and so what are you going to spend it on?
Yeah, this can be for kids, this can be for anything, but you realize that we only have so much, and everybody hits that crossroads. And I think a lot of times people will hit it with the holidays. It's overwhelming. There's too much stuff that needs to be done. Too many holiday parties. I've got work I've got to try and finish up for the end of the year. I've got this and that. And it's just sometimes your best use of time is to regroup and really prioritize, because you will just stress yourself out. And that's, we tell a lot of our staff here that if you feel overwhelmed, take that half a second to sit down, make your list, and prioritize, because it'll paralyze me. Sometimes if I'm too overwhelmed, I'll be like, I don't even know what to do anymore, because there's so much that needs to be done. Everything is pressing. Or get a partner to help you kind of really reorganize and say, hey, I'm kind of feeling overwhelmed. What do I need to do?
Yeah.
Real life choices. Say no.
Yes.
I was talking about this earlier. Say no to non-essential obligations in a form of financial empowerment. This is the opposite of that Jim Carrey, man.
Yes, man.
There needs to be a no man.
No, I mean, I listen, I think being able to say no is a very good skill to have, and not everybody can do it. It can hit you in so many different forms depending on what stage in life you're in, but it could be something like if you're a boss and somebody asks you for some sort of accommodation that is a legal accommodation, obviously. Or if you're a parent and your child is asking you for a piece of candy, or if you're any number of things that you may come across where you have the opportunity to say yes or no. One answer is going to save you a lot of time and energy, and the other answer is going to cost you time and energy.
Yeah. But no is probably the hardest word to say for some people. No is very hard for me to say. I would say pretty much everybody in my family, it's very hard to say, except for my 5-year-old niece. She's good. And I'm sure once the boys start talking, they'll be saying no a lot as well.
I don't want to get too serious or too off topic, but one of the things that they say about, especially I think it's genteel Southern women, that can be problematic for them in terms of potentially getting them into trouble with like a stalker or a crazy creeper guy, is the fact that you've kind of been taught that you're accommodating and you take care of people's needs and so forth. And that means that sometimes somebody might ask you to do something that in your mind you're going, I don't need to do this, I don't need to do this, but you don't want to offend. So you might not say no, even though it's something that you don't want to do. And you can end up, sometimes it's okay to say no, I guess is all I'm saying.
Well, and it's, in many different components, like with now I'm having to try and muster up saying no when someone's like, oh, can we come over and see the babies? Can we bring food? Or can we do this? And I feel bad, but it's like,
you want to be the host. You want to be the consummate host. You want to be that, because for those of you that have not ever personally interacted with Katie, she is a hostess supreme. So, she wants to maintain that. But again, it goes back to what I was saying. It's again, that mindset that you don't want to offend these people. You don't want to put them off. You don't want to say no to them, but sometimes it is okay to say no.
Well, and it's sometimes a lot of things are slippery slopes. Like if you keep saying yes to things, they'll start to build up like, oh, well, I said yes to this person. So now I feel like I have to say yes to that person and that person. Or even in like a work capacity of Susie needed to leave early for work. So I said I'd finish her report for her. Some people do it on purpose, but I think a lot of times people will take advantage and they don't even realize it. It's they'll like, oh, well, she did this for me last time. I'm sure she'll do it again. I'm sure she'll do it again. And it's till that one person finally is like, enough. I'm tired of doing it.
Yeah. If you go above and beyond all of the time in anything that you do, if you go above and beyond and 100% of the time, and that's all you ever do, then that's what people come to expect of you.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're not giving it 100% if you're just doing what should be expected of a normal person. All of a sudden the expectation is you're going to be superhuman and you're going to always go above and beyond no matter what the payoff is for you. And that should not be the way that you run your life. It shouldn't always be a consideration. What am I getting out of this? But at the same time, it shouldn't never be a consideration. You do have to take into account, like, am I doing this because it's giving me something back, or am I just doing it because I just have always done it? And
then what are you getting out of it? But also, what is it keeping you from being able to do?
Well, yeah.
So is it making you have to stay later at work?
You're missing time with your kids because you said yes to staying late for a meeting or something like that.
Or it's making you extra tired, so then it's a ripple effect that then follows forward. So the other thing is investing in time savers. Grocery delivery, housekeeping, even childcare is part of strategic living. We have talked about that and how COVID really changed a lifestyle for a lot of people with Target, drive up pickup and DoorDash and Instacart and all the stuff like that people were looking at as time savers, because then it allowed them to grocery shop on the way home or to do different things where to them was that of value, that the time they were spending in a grocery store, can they spend a couple extra bucks and then it's already done for them. That's then the financial component, because it's also a slippery slope. It can get too easy. And then you're like, oh, I'm spending all this money. And it's like, why did I just DoorDash a coffee when I could have actually, for my mental health, taken a break, gone and drove to Starbucks, and then came back?
Yeah. I mean, listen, car time is special time to me. I will always take the opportunity to go drive somewhere and pick something up rather than having it delivered to me. If it means that I get to spend a little bit of time collecting myself alone where no one can reach me.
Read that next statement. That is powerful.
Delegation isn't weakness, it's wisdom. So, yeah, I mean, all of us may have a reaction to seeing someone else hand off a task. Depending on what the task is and who the person is, you may think to yourself, they don't do anything. They're just getting everybody else to do everything for them. Maybe they're just, budgeting their time and realizing that it's okay to ask someone else to do something if you've got 50 other things you need to do.
And that's where, again, it kind of ripples back, because I think a lot of times people don't like to delegate out because they're worried that person is too busy and they won't say no.
Yeah.
So
you don't want to be a burden on someone, but you also don't want to be judged by anyone. So you just don't ask, and then you end up doing everything, trying to do everything for yourself. And we know that doesn't always work out well.
Yeah. Intentional living equals intentional planning. Interesting. Intentional living. Financial planning parallels define what matters, set boundaries, and make decisions aligned with long-term goals. That's kind of what we all dream for, right? This is not an easy task, and this is something constantly evolving. And especially if you were in a relationship, then setting boundaries. That's, I think, a lot of when we talk about relationships, then financial and then probably family dynamics is right there with it, of setting boundaries of, family interactions or what you allow your time to be spent on. If one spouse is working all the time and the other one's, very conscious of, I'm going to be home at a certain time, working on all of that together. Intentional living equals intentional planning. And so be very mindful. And I think that a lot of times why this naturally happens when people have kids is they no longer have indispensable amount of time. And so their little bit of time that they're going to get without kids, they're going to try and maximize and do as much as possible. Like yesterday was Daniel's off day. And so he said, you're running around like crazy. And I was doing stuff that pre-babies I would not have been doing. I was, washing the dishes and putting clothes in the laundry and doing stuff like that and picking things up. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, this is something not baby. This is something that I want to get done and check it off the list.
Mm-hmm. And you can when he's home.
Yeah. And so I saw that opportunity of, I've got him here.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go get a shower. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me go, run an errand. And so I think it's forced upon you of prioritizing, but everybody should try and prioritize their time a little better to make sure we're maximizing the most of it. So at the end of each day, you can be like, I did what I wanted to do or what I had to do. So, we can't all do everything we just want to do.
Right.
That is not a good financial decision if you just go, well, I don't really want to work anymore. I want to go play Topgolf. That doesn't work.
But Topgolf is fun. I've played it recently for the first time. I had a blast doing it.
So let's look from the Pickler lens.
Okay. Is that your lens or the Pickler Wealth Advisor?
I think Pickler Wealth Advisor lens. So I guess, yeah. Reflect on how parenting shapes work as an advisor. New vision and understanding for clients struggling. So yeah, I thought I understood when I was talking to clients about the cost of daycare and understanding how your budget completely changes overnight and unexpected expenses and things like that. But I have a new appreciation for it because I'm in the thick of it with you. So I feel like me as an advisor, I'm going to be able to be even more empathetic, really understand where you're coming from because I'm walking the walk. And I think that's with everything is male doctor for gynecology, for obstetrics. They're no matter what, they're never going to fully understand.
Yeah.
Because they have not been pregnant. That's like a marriage counselor trying to counsel people who's never been married. Unfortunately, it is one of those until you've walked the walk, you can't really fully be in their footsteps. They can't understand it.
Yeah.
This is really implied of why financial planning is really important and making sure that you are prioritizing this. I've thought back on some of my client meetings that I had prior and, helping somebody figure out how they could afford to stay home for a year while their baby was, newborn stage, helping them figure out how they can afford college, things like that I knew I was helping my clients before, but now I'm understanding even deeper and I've got more experience to then bring to the table. But so here at Pickler Wealth Advisors, we really do try and help our clients protect their time and energy, not just their assets. And that's part of why when we have a client meeting with somebody, yes, we spend the time talking about the numbers,
sure,
but the majority of the conversation is, how are you? What's going on in your life? And we're looking for problems that we can help solve.
Right.
We're looking for solutions. We're looking for opportunities of, is there something going on that they need help with? And that's why oftentimes we've kind of been referred to almost as a therapist type. And it's, we're not trying to go down that road. But we know that if you're talking to us about your finances, you're opening the door. And so much of what's happening in your life is a ripple effect to your financial situation. And so if you're having issues with time management, you're unhappy with your job, with your marriage, things like that, that's going to be a conversation we talk about because then we can help you kind of try and prioritize. We may be able to help you try and delegate some things out. Hey, stop doing that. That's something that our law firm can help you with, or that's something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a nice dip your toes session back into the world of podcasting.
Feels good. I feel a little rusty, but, I'm like Lightning McQueen before it got all polished up. I'm still.
Yeah, I remember that movie. Lightning McQueen. Yes.
Cars.
Yeah, no, I know. It's Cars.
Shush.
Yeah, obviously. I was always a fan of Tater. I wonder what he looked like when he was all fixed up. The basic idea of this particular episode is just understand that it is important that you are present and that you are available to those who you love and to those who need you. And that means budgeting your time and your energy appropriately, showing up when it matters most, right?
Yeah. So my bullseye would be that you can't be everything to everyone. And that's a hard pill to swallow, especially if you are someone like me that wants to please, wants to be the hostess, wants to do things like that, that it feels wrong to say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that, or it's not the right time. But I think that's where you're really then taking care of you. And there's nicer ways of saying, like, you know what, I would love to help you with this project, or I'd love to go to lunch with you, but now's not the best time. Can we please rain check and do it another time? And, I've tried to tell a bunch of my friends and things like that are so used to me being there and available, like, don't give up on me. I'm in a transition mode. Like, I still want to hear and know what's going on with you, but just kind of keep me in the loop and keep me on your list, so that then when I have more time available, I'm ready and I know what's going on.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, there's the closing bell. You've made it to the end of yet another episode of the BullCast podcast. If you liked what you heard and you'd like to hear more, please feel free to go to your favorite subscription service and sign up to have our podcast delivered directly to your listening device every single Thursday at noon. If you'd like to find out more about Cortland, Katie, Cameron, or Nicole, please feel free to go to our website. That website is bullcastpodcast.com. We've got pictures, we've got bios, and we've got a place where you can drop a comment or suggest a topic you'd like to hear us talk more about. But hey, I mentioned pictures. We do have an Instagram handle. That handle is at BullCast Podcast. And we also have an X handle, which is also at BullCast Podcast. And rounding out the social media, we have a Facebook page, which is BullCast the Podcast. So check us out on all of those places. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, Katie and I work for a place called Pickler Wealth Advisors. And if you'd like to find out more about us, you can find it out on that website. You can also find out what we do, what we could do for you. You can find out about our amazing team, and you can find out about our boss, David Pickler. That website is picklerwealthadvisors.com.
That's advisors with an O.
Not an E, ladies and gentlemen. We have given you a little bit of insight today into what Katie is doing and how she's feeling about it. So hopefully this has been fun, and we'll definitely see you next week. But for now, I'm Cort.
I'm Katie.
And we're done.